The United States Treasury Secretary just invited a piece of Canada to leave Canada on radio, with his name attached, and 600,000 people in that province are already listening. Scott Bessent didn't whisper this in a classified briefing. He didn't send it through a back channel. He said it on national radio, in plain English, to an audience of millions. Alberta has a wealth of natural resources, but they won't let them build a pipeline to the Pacific. It's like tying their hands behind their back. Then I think we should let them come down into the U.S. Then he said it again on CNBC, then again on Fox Business. And then U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright echoed the same message on CNN, highlighting American refineries already configured for Alberta's heavy crude. 2 cabinet secretaries, 3 platforms, 1 week, 1 message. This is not a gaffe. When senior officials repeat the same position across multiple outlets in the same week, that position has been approved at the highest level. That is coordinated policy. And the policy says this: Washington views Alberta's membership in Canada as negotiable. If you want to understand how we got here and where this ends, stay with me. And if this kind of analysis is what you've been missing, hit subscribe now, because the next 90 days will move fast. Mark Carney heard the message, and he didn't reach for diplomatic language. In a closed-door session with Liberal MPs, later leaked to Politico, he said 4 words that cut through every layer of political pretense. They want to own us, not partner, not align, own. That word was chosen deliberately because Carney understands exactly what Bessent's invitation actually means structurally. An Alberta that leaves Canada and enters America's economic orbit does not become independent. It becomes a subsidiary. Its oil flows south through American pipelines. Its revenue is priced in American dollars. Its trade policy is written in Washington. Its defense is provided by the American military. Its regulatory framework mirrors American standards. The flag doesn't change. But every decision that matters gets made somewhere else. That is not liberation. That is a change of landlord. And Carney knows it. The question is whether 4.7 million Albertans know it before they're asked to vote. Here is what almost no one in mainstream coverage is connecting. Venezuela sanctions have tightened U.S. crude imports. Russia oil waivers are temporary and politically toxic. Iranian oil is under maximum pressure. The global heavy crude supply is shrinking. Alberta produces 3.9 million barrels per day, of exactly the grade that American Gulf Coast refineries were built to process. These refineries cannot efficiently run on light shale oil. They were engineered for heavy crude, Alberta's heavy crude, specifically. Right now, that oil moves through Enbridge pipelines under USMCA protections. But the USMCA review begins in July. If that framework collapses, those flows become legally uncertain overnight. But if Alberta were a direct bilateral partner with Washington, the supply chain is locked in, permanently. No Canadian federal government in the middle. No tariff risk. No treaty complications. Come on down is not sentiment. It is a supply chain strategy wearing a smile. Bessent is not inviting Alberta because he admires its scenery. He is securing decades of heavy crude supply for American industry. And the Canadian federal government is the only obstacle standing between the supply and the demand. While this was happening diplomatically, something was shifting inside Alberta. 600,000 signatures on a secession petition have been submitted for verification under Alberta's Fair Deal referendum law. Premier Danielle Smith's office must validate them against voter rolls by June. If validated, a referendum follows in the fall. Support for Alberta independence has risen from 17% to 25% in 2 years. 8 points. Before Bessent's invitation even landed, the next poll will capture the aftermath of a sitting U.S. Treasury Secretary telling your province to come join us. If that number moves again, and it likely will, a fall referendum shifts from unlikely to genuinely competitive. Premier Smith has stopped using neutral language. Her office now frames Washington as understanding energy realities better than Ottawa. That is not fence-sitting. That is positioning. Pierre Poilievre is calculating electoral math in oil country. The Bloc Québécois is running its own numbers on what Alberta's exit means for Quebec's leverage inside Canada. Every major political actor in this country is now adjusting to a new reality, one that a single radio appearance made possible. Carney has a theory, and he has acted on it. If Alberta gets real pipeline access to global markets, the core separatist argument collapses. Ottawa isn't blocking you. Here is Trans Mountain at full capacity, 890,000 barrels a day to the Pacific. Here are 47 new oil sands permits approved. Here is a $20 billion LNG Canada deal shipping 14 million tons annually to Asia. Here is Bill C-69 reform to unblock future approvals. The logic is sound. Remove the economic grievance, and the movement loses its fuel. But there is a fatal timing problem. Trans Mountain is full, which means there is no room for the production growth Alberta's industry is already planning. New pipeline approvals will take years to build. The LNG facility is operational but fixed in capacity. Carney is offering a future solution. Bessent is offering a present one. Come on down requires no permits, no construction timelines, no regulatory approval, and no waiting. And in a crisis driven by urgency, the option that exists today will always beat the option that arrives in 3 years. If the referendum happens, Albertans will face a question no Canadian province has ever faced in these terms. Stay in Canada, continue equalization payments, accept federal regulatory authority, trust Carney's pipeline timeline, maintain Canadian citizenship and federal services. Leave Canada, end equalization, align with Washington, gain immediate full market access for all oil production, enter a bilateral relationship with a country 13 times your size. Both options carry risk. Both framings contain truth, and both are incomplete. The separatists call Ottawa's system extraction. Carney calls Washington's offer ownership. And here is the uncomfortable reality. They may both be right. Alberta may not be choosing between freedom and captivity. It may be choosing between two different captors, one familiar and one foreign, one that takes a percentage and one that will eventually set the price. The referendum won't be decided by geopolitical analysis. It will be decided by which fear feels more personal on the day the ballot is cast. Here is what is confirmed. Bessent said it. Wright echoed it. Carney responded. 600,000 signatures are in verification. Independent support is at 25% and rising. USMCA review begins July. American refineries need Alberta's crude as global alternatives shrink. Here is what we don't know: whether Come On Down is a genuine offer or a pressure weapon designed to fracture Canadian unity without ever intending to follow through. Whether a referendum produces a vote or a constitutional crisis that neither side has a legal framework to resolve. Whether Carney's 4 words land as a warning that holds a country together, or an epitaph for the moment it began to come apart. Some diplomatic moments are footnotes, some change the map. A U.S. Treasury Secretary just invited a Canadian province to secede, on radio, by name. While 600,000 of its residents were already signing the paperwork. The verification deadline is June. The USMCA review is July. The referendum could be fall.